Friends, the Charlie Kirk Show team here. America's debt bomb has blown past $37 trillion, and it's climbing every second. President Trump is fighting for fair trade and strong borders to slow the train wreck, but the numbers don't lie. When debt grows this fast, it can threaten your savings and your family's future. That's why more Americans are turning to real assets like gold and silver. I work with and recommend Preserve Gold. They make it simple to own physical gold and silver, even inside your retirement accounts like an IRA or 401k. Text USA to 50505 for their free wealth protection guide. With a qualified purchase, you could get up to $20,000 in free gold or silver. We are real close to officially being done with this shutdown. It looks like it passed the Senate hurdle, which was the big one last evening, and now it's on to the House. There's probably some procedural delays, I'm sure, that they're throwing up, and then they'll get to the business. Boil it all down for us. What are we? It's like last week. All I heard was about a Republican civil war, conservative civil war, and then in one fell swoop, you got enough Democrats to break ranks, and now we've got a Democrat civil war. Please make sense of what's happening.
Well, the Republican Civil War after the election, 9 or 10 months, a week ago. There's a rare to have two tentpole events like that rowing in diametrically opposite points of view. I think right now, and I talked about this on Next Up today, almost everything that happens can be seen through the prism of the renegades, the populists versus the establishment. You're seeing that in the Republican Party. You're seeing that in the Democratic Party. And I think the populist wing of the Democratic Party is super energized by Donald Trump. And the populist wing of the Democratic Party also has a political death wish because they wanted to continue to try to get Donald Trump to give up on the shutdown. And it was clear to 8 Senate Democrats that he wouldn't. So the whole politics of both those stories revolve around Trump. On the negative side, he energizes the Democrats. On the negative side for the Republicans, he energizes the Democrats. On the negative side for the Democrats, he causes Trump derangement syndrome, and Democrats on the left who are complaining, now some privately, are glad the shutdown's over, but the ones on the left who wanted to continue the fight, they can't think straight when it comes to political combat with Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated about this dynamic that we see playing out right now. You've almost got kind of a Ro Khanna versus Hakeem Jeffries dynamic happening, with Ro Khanna saying Schumer's got to go. You heard this from Sonny Hostin on The View and others that are saying it's time to go. There's a congressman out of Massachusetts, right? The one that was about to get primaried for not wanting his daughter to play trans athletes.
Seth Moulton.
Yeah, Seth Moulton. That's right. So he's getting, he's now on the Schumer's got to go. I mean, this is a really fascinating dynamic because Hakeem Jeffries, sort of at the last moment, decided to endorse Mamdani.
Yeah.
And you can just feel Hakeem Jeffries getting pulled in either direction. It's almost like it's excruciating to watch on some level. And he's out attacking the Supreme Court as corrupt. It's a clip I just saw. It's almost like he's looking for avenues to advance positive lines and to solidify his bona fides as a progressive in this caucus that is increasingly getting controlled by the radical left. So actually, I have the clip here. Let's just go ahead and play it, Mark. 171.
Cleaning up the corruption that exists in Washington, D.C., in the Congress, at the Supreme Court, and of course with the Trump administration, the most corrupt administration in American history. So we can actually deliver a country of the people, by the people, and for the people.
I just want to be precise. You say the Supreme Court has been corrupt? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the outrageous behavior by individual justices like Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito, and the failure to have an ethical code of conduct is corrupt.
So what I translate this as, Mark, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, is that this is him saying, okay, yeah, I said that I endorse Schumer. Schumer still got my vote of confidence. But don't worry, progressive wing. I endorse Mamdani. And yes, if we get power back, we're gonna destroy, nuke the filibuster, and we're going to pack the court.
All correct. But I'll just say again, my preferred prism currently is not progressive versus moderate, right? It's It's populist versus establishment. Hakeem Jeffries is establishment, and you know that for based on his history, but you also know it because he's one of the few Democrats who's backing Schumer. He's an establishment figure, but he knows the energy in the party is with the populace. So he says things like, he talks about, just like Ro Khanna talks about Jeffrey Epstein, talks about corruption in Washington, talks about special interests, because that's the language of the populace. And right now, he and Schumer are discombobulated because privately they're for the establishment. They're not populists. They're not fiery renegades trying to tear the house down. They run the house. And so the power structure recognizes that to try to keep power as long as possible, you got to talk the language of the populace, and that's what he's trying to do. But for Schumer, at least, it's not particularly convincing, and that's why he's taking so much heat right now, because nobody's buying it.
So about that ascendant populist thing, I'd say the biggest populist story on the left is, of course, Zohran Mamdani, runs for mayor of New York, wins. Yeah. So do you think do you see that basically this factional struggle is going to just be everyone stares at New York, sees what happens with Mamdani's government, and if it fails quickly, will that sap its energy? Or do you think if he's able to do things that will it'll drive the party further to the left? Maybe even if it's not that successful, it still might drive the party to the left. How do you see that playing out? You're
asking the right question, and I've got no idea. Because it will depend on how he performs, but also what his style is, how much he accommodates picking a police commissioner, what kinds of things he talks about, how much does he arrest Netanyahu? So I think it's hard to know exactly how this will play out, but there's no doubt that I shouldn't say no doubt. He appears to want to have regular combat with the president, which will keep him in the news. I think how he governs will keep him in the news. And then his relationship to the governor's race, where Kathy Hochul was endorsed Mamdani, but hasn't been reverse endorsed. So he will be a part of the storyline. How big and what the variables are, I just don't know. And I live here and I follow it closely, but I think there's so many different ways he can go. I will say that his election night speech freaked me out as much as anything, because it suggested a level of anger and determination to make this an us versus them governance that I think could be quite troubling for a lot of people in this city.
Yeah, and Mark, what are you going to be looking for when he assumes office, when he gets the keys to the city, as it were? I mean, I'll just tell you, my first thing, you mentioned the police commissioner, he tried to moderate his tone when it came to the NYPD. I think this guy has deep-seated distrust within the NYPD. He's going to tie their hands. I mean, if you're a police officer and you're forced to go, arrest somebody in a street melee, good luck if something goes wrong, this guy having your back. He's going to villainize you. You're part of the established oppressive system that he's targeting, he's messaged towards. So those are the things I'm looking for. But again, New York is, of most cities, one of the most resilient in the world. These people, I mean, if you love New York, you don't want to leave New York. There's too much culture, too many restaurants, too many just the style of life. You can't emulate that easily in other American cities. What are you looking for? 1 minute, Mark Halperin.
How could you not mention the Knish? Look, he said he's going to keep on the current police commissioner. Let's see if he does. There's some indication he's not really secured her pledge to do it. You mentioned arrests. I'm worried about a cop killing somebody accidentally, and then he shows up at the scene. And does he defend the cop, or does he attack the cop? This city has seen a huge ratcheting down of the kind of racial tensions we saw several decades ago when there was these nonstop combustible events. I worry about a return to those depending on how he handles it. And again, his election night speech made it harder for me to tell people to have hope or calm down or let's wait and see. I'm certainly amongst those concerned about how I handle those kind of high pressure situations.
Yeah, I think Blake's right to sort of look to these first few tests that are coming out of the Mamdani era in New York to see what direction the whole city goes. Because, I mean, he is a bellwether for the future of the populist free stuff left-wing populism that's bubbling up all across the country.